In the dead of night, over the vast Nevada desert, something moves that you cannot see, cannot hear, cannot track. It slips past the most advanced defenses on Earth, carrying the power to strike anywhere, anytime. This is no ordinary aircraft. This is the B-2 Spirit, the ghost of modern warfare, invisible yet unstoppable. And tonight, we take you inside its world, where stealth, strategy, and human endurance redefine the very meaning of power. We'll explain everything in this video step by step. Don't skip it. In the silent darkness before dawn, when the Nevada desert is still and the horizon is only a faint silver line against the night sky, a shape begins to move across the runway at Nellis Air Force Base. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is almost ghost-like. The aircraft glides slowly into position, its wings stretched wide like a shadow across the concrete. There are no sharp angles, no traditional fuselage, no obvious cockpit lines. To the untrained eye, it looks like something that belongs more to the future than to the present. This is the Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit, one of the most advanced and mysterious aircraft ever created. And here at Nellis, the story of modern aerial warfare quietly unfolds. The silent warrior war has always evolved with technology, from cavalry charges and ironclad warships to jet fighters and satellites. Every generation has produced machines that reshape how battles are fought. But the B-2 Spirit represents something different. It is not built to be seen. It is built to disappear. Developed by Northrop Grumman during the final years of the Cold War for the United States Air Force, the B-2 was designed to penetrate the most heavily defended airspace on Earth. Enemy radar systems, once the guardians of national borders, suddenly faced an opponent they could barely detect. For military planners, it changed everything. But behind this revolutionary machine are not just engineers and strategies. There are pilots, there are crews, and there are long nights over the Nevada desert where preparation for war becomes a test of discipline, endurance, and trust. Nellis, the battlefield before the battlefield, Nellis Air Force Base is not just another military installation. It is often called the home of the fighter pilot. Across its vast training ranges, the largest in the United States, thousands of square miles of desert become a simulated battlefield. Radar sites are recreated, enemy aircraft are simulated, missile defenses are replicated. Everything a pilot might face in real combat is practiced here. For the B-2 crews who arrive at Nellis, these exercises are not routine training flights. They are rehearsals for missions that could shape global conflict. Inside the cockpit, two pilots sit surrounded by glowing displays and quiet systems. There is no roaring fighter jet canopy view. Instead, the experience is almost surreal. The aircraft moves with smooth, calculated precision. Every system, from navigation to stealth coatings, must perform flawlessly, because in a real mission, the B-2 may fly thousands of miles into hostile territory, strike critical targets, and return home without the enemy ever knowing it was there. The human side of a stealth giant, yet despite the technology, the most important element remains human. A B-2 mission can last 30 hours or more. Pilots must remain focused, calm and alert through exhaustion and isolation. They rely on one another. They rely on the ground crews who prepared the aircraft, and they rely on the ground crews who prepared the aircraft, and they rely on years of training at places like Nellis. In the quiet moments between exercises, pilots often walk the flight line in silence. They run their hands across the smooth black surfaces of the aircraft. They know the history. They know the responsibility, because every aircraft parked there represents not just power, but deterrence. Not just power, but deterrence. The idea that sometimes the greatest weapon in war is the one that never has to be used. Ghosts over the desert during large exercises such as Red Flag, Nellis becomes one of the most intense training environments in the world. Fighter jets scream overhead, electronic warfare systems fill the air with simulated threats, radar operators track every movement, and somewhere in the darkness above it all, the B-2 moves quietly through the sky, unseen, undetected. Even friendly forces sometimes struggle to locate it. That is the power of stealth, but stealth alone does not win wars. It is the combination of technology, strategy, and human judgment that defines the B-2's role in modern warfare. Every flight from Nellis refines that balance. Every mission prepares crews for the moment when training becomes reality. Legacy of the Spirit. Since its first flight, the B-2 Spirit has participated in operations across the globe, from the Balkans to the Middle East and beyond. In many of those missions, it flew directly from the United States to targets halfway around the world. It struck with precision. Then it vanished back into the sky. For many civilians living beneath those flight paths, the war arrived without warning and disappeared just as quickly. That is the paradox of the B-2. It is both a symbol of overwhelming power and a reminder of how modern warfare has changed. Wars are no longer always fought by massive armies meeting on open battlefields. Sometimes they are fought quietly, thousands of miles away, by aircraft few people ever see. The quiet before history, as the Nevada sun rises over Nellis Air Force Base, the desert transforms from dark blue to blazing gold. Ground crews move across the runway. Maintenance teams inspect every inch of the aircraft. Pilots review mission data, and somewhere, a B-2 begins to taxi once again. Its engines hum softly. Its wings stretch across the morning light, and within moments, it lifts off, climbing into the sky with almost unnatural grace. To those watching from the ground, it disappears quickly into the distance, but its presence carries a message understood around the world, a message that echoes through modern military history. Sometimes the most powerful force in war is the one you never see coming. If you stillness in these words, subscribe to join Space of Presence and share your deepest now in the comments below. The Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit is more than an aircraft. It is the physical embodiment of a new philosophy of warfare, one that values invisibility, precision, and psychological dominance over brute force. When the aircraft slowly rolls onto the runway, its shape immediately separates it from every traditional bomber that came before it. There is no long cylindrical body, no protruding tail, no obvious edges that would reflect radar signals. Instead, the aircraft appears as a smooth, sweeping wing, a design carefully crafted so that hostile radar waves scatter and fade rather than return a clear signal. This unique flying wing structure was not simply an engineering experiment. It was the result of decades of research driven by the strategic needs of the United States Air Force during one of the most tense periods in modern history. During the late years of the Cold War, military planners faced a frightening possibility. If a major conflict erupted between nuclear superpowers, heavily defended airspace filled with advanced radar systems and surface-to-air missiles could make traditional bomber missions nearly impossible. Aircraft light at the B-52 had immense power and range, but they were also large radar targets. Enemy air defense networks could detect them from hundreds of miles away, giving defenders enough time to prepare interceptors and missile batteries. The challenge for engineers and strategists was simple to describe but incredibly difficult to achieve. Create an aircraft capable of flying directly through the most sophisticated air defense systems in the world without being detected. To accomplish this, Aerospace engineers at Northrop Grumman turned to the concept of stealth technology, a revolutionary approach that required rethinking nearly every aspect of aircraft design. Radar works by sending out radio waves and measuring how they'd bounce back from objects. Traditional aircraft, with their vertical tails and sharp angles, reflect those waves strongly, producing a clear radar signature. The B-2's designers reshaped the aircraft so that incoming radar energy would be deflected away from its source rather than back toward it. Every curve, every surface angle, and even the placement of engine inlets was carefully calculated to minimize detection. The aircraft engines themselves are buried deep within the wing, hidden from direct radar exposure. Special materials and coatings cover the surface of the aircraft, absorbing radar waves instead of reflecting them. These radar-absorbing materials must be carefully maintained by ground crews, because even small imperfections could increase the aircraft's visibility. This constant attention to detail is part of what makes the B-2 such a complex and demanding aircraft to operate. The stealth capability is not just a feature, it is a delicate system that requires precision at every stage, from engineering to maintenance to flight operations. Yet stealth power is not only about avoiding detection. The true strength of the B-2 lies in the strategy I see possibilities that invisibility creates. Traditional military strategy often relied on overwhelming numbers of aircraft attacking simultaneously to overwhelm defenses. With stealth technology, a small number of aircraft could achieve the same effect by slipping past defenses entirely. The B-2 could fly directly into heavily guarded regions that were previously considered unreachable. Air defense systems designed to track large formations of bombers suddenly faced an opponent that might never appear on their radar screens at all. This capability transformed the role of strategic bombers in modern warfare. Instead of launching massive fleets toward enemy territory, a stealth bomber could quietly depart from its base and travel thousands of miles across oceans and continents. Its journey might take it through multiple air defense zones, each designed to detect and intercept hostile aircraft. But because of its stealth design, the B-2 could pass through these regions with minimal detection, arriving over its target with surprise intact. In military operations, surprise is often the difference between success and failure. The B-2's stealth capability gives commanders the ability to strike critical infrastructure, command centers, and strategic targets before defenders even realize an attack has begun. Another aspect of the aircraft's power lies in its precision. The B-2 can carry a wide range of advanced guided munitions, including precision bombs capable of striking targets with extraordinary accuracy. In earlier eras of warfare, bombers often relied on large quantities of explosives to ensure that at least some bombs would hit their intended targets. Modern stealth bombers operate differently. They rely on precise targeting systems, satellite navigation, and advanced sensors to deliver their payloads with surgical effectiveness. This shift reflects a broader change, and how military forces approach conflict, moving away from indiscriminate destruction toward targeted strategic impact. Pilots who fly the B-2 operate within an environment where technology and human judgment must work perfectly together. The cockpit is filled with digital displays, mission systems, and navigation interfaces designed to guide the aircraft through complex flight paths. Yet, despite all this technology, the pilots themselves remain central to the mission. They must interpret data, respond to changing conditions, and make decisions that could influence the outcome of an entire operation. Flying a stealth bomber is not simply about controlling an aircraft. It is about managing a highly advanced system while maintaining situational awareness across thousands of miles of airspace. The psychological dimension of stealth power should not be underestimated. When an adversary knows that a bomber can enter their airspace without warning, the uncertainty alone can reshape strategic thinking. Air defense commanders must constantly assume that the aircraft might already be present, even when radar screens appear clear. This uncertainty forces potential adversaries to spread their defenses thin, invest heavily in detection systems, and remain on constant alert. In this way, the mere existence of stealth bombers can influence global military planning without a single shot being fired. The B-2's enormous wingspan and unique flying wing design also contribute to its remarkable range and endurance. Unlike smaller tactical aircraft that require frequent refueling, the B-2 can travel vast distances across the globe. Missions lasting more than a full day are not uncommon, with pilots remaining in the cockpit for extended periods while carefully managing fuel, navigation, and mission objectives. This endurance allows the aircraft to launch directly from bases within the United States and strike targets on distant continents before returning home, reducing the need for forward deployment and increasing operational flexibility. Maintenance crews play a crucial role in sustaining the stealth power of the aircraft. After each mission, teams of specialists inspect the aircraft's surface coatings, structural components, and electronic systems. Even minor scratches or surface irregularities can compromise stealth performance. These technicians work with patience and precision, often spending hours ensuring that every inch of the aircraft meets exact specifications. Their work rarely receives public attention, yet without their dedication, the stealth capabilities of the B-2 could not be maintained. The aircraft's design also reflects a delicate balance between aerodynamic efficiency and stealth requirements. Traditional aircraft often rely on vertical stabilizers and other features that improve maneuverability and stability. The B-2's flying wing configuration eliminates many of these features in order to maintain a low radar signature. To compensate, the aircraft relies on advanced flight control, computers that constantly adjust control surfaces to keep the aircraft stable in flight. These systems perform thousands of calculations every second, subtly adjusting the aircraft's movements in ways that pilots might not even notice. Stealth power, therefore, is not a single innovation, but an intricate combination of engineering, strategy, and human expertise. Every mission flown by the B-2 demonstrates the culmination of decades of research and development, aimed at redefining the possibilities of air power. The aircraft represents a shift from visible dominance to hidden strength, from overwhelming force to precise and calculated capability. In the quiet moments when the aircraft moves silently through the night sky, its presence reflects an era in which the most decisive advantage in warfare may belong to the forces that cannot be seen. If you stillness in these words, subscribe to join the space of presence, and share your deepest now in the comments below. Across the vast desert landscape of southern Nevada lies one of the most important training grounds in modern military aviation, Nellis Air Force Base. From the outside, it may appear like a typical military installation: rows of aircraft shelters, long runways cutting across the dry desert earth, and maintenance hangars filled with technicians and engineers. But within its boundaries and across the enormous training ranges surrounding it, Nellis functions as something far more significant. It is a place where complex air warfare scenarios are recreated with remarkable realism, allowing pilots, commanders, and support crews to prepare for conflicts that could shape global security. The desert environment around Nellis provides a natural advantage for large-scale military exercises. Thousands of square miles of open land stretch far beyond the base, forming the Nevada Test and Training Range, one of the largest air combat training areas in the world. Within this immense region, the United States Air Force can simulate nearly every type of battlefield environment imaginable: radar installations, mock air defense systems, mock air defense systems, simulated missile sites, and electronic warfare emitters are placed across the landscape to recreate the conditions pilots might encounter in hostile territory. This allows aircraft crews to practice navigating and surviving in airspace where the threat of detection and interception is constant. For crews operating the Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit, training at Nellis represents a crucial stage in mission preparation. The B-2 is designed to penetrate heavily defended airspace and deliver precision strikes against high-value targets. Such missions demand not only advanced technology, but also a deep understanding of how enemy defenses function. At Nellis, pilots and mission planners rehearse the complex coordination required to avoid radar detection, evade simulated missile systems, and maintain precise navigation through contested skies. Inside the mission planning facilities at Nellis, teams of specialists gather around digital maps and intelligence displays. These planning sessions can last for hours as crews analyze simulated enemy positions, radar coverage zones, and electronic threats. Every potential variable is studied carefully. Pilots must understand where hostile radar systems are located, how frequently they sweep the skies, and how their signals interact with the terrain. Electronic warfare officers examine how enemy communication networks operate and how they might interfere with aircraft navigation systems. The objective is not merely to fly an aircraft from one location to another. It is to anticipate and overcome every obstacle that might appear during a real combat mission. The training exercises conducted at Nellis often involve dozens or even hundreds of aircraft operating simultaneously. Fighter jets simulate enemy interceptors, electronic warfare aircraft generate signals that mimic hostile radar systems, and tanker aircraft provide aerial refueling to extend the range of participating planes. This coordinated environment allows pilots to experience the chaos and complexity of modern air warfare without leaving American airspace. For B-2 crews, these exercises test their ability to maintain stealth while other aircraft operate around them, sometimes attempting to detect or intercept them as part of the simulation. One of the most well-known exercises hosted at Nellis is Red Flag, a large-scale training event that brings together units from across the United States and allied ions. During these exercises, pilots participate in missions designed to replicate the first days of a major conflict. Intelligence reports, simulated enemy movements, and dynamic threats are introduced throughout the exercise, forcing crews to adapt their plans in real time. The goal is to expose pilots to the stress and uncertainty of combat in a controlled environment where mistakes become opportunities for learning rather than tragic consequences. For B-2 crews, participating in these exercises requires an extraordinary level of coordination with other military units. Stealth bombers rarely operate alone. In real missions, they may rely on support from fighter escorts, surveillance aircraft, and electronic warfare platforms. Nellis provides an environment where these complex relationships can be practiced repeatedly until they become second nature. Pilots learn how to communicate efficiently with other aircraft while still maintaining the operational secrecy that stealth missions require. The desert skies above Nellis become an intricate network of moving aircraft, each performing a specific role within the simulated battle. Some jets act as adversaries, attempting to locate and intercept stealth aircraft. Others function as defensive forces protecting friendly targets. Radar operators track the movements of every participating aircraft from command centers on the ground, analyzing how each mission unfolds. These operators collect enormous amounts of data during every exercise, recording radar signals, communication transmissions, and flight paths. After each training mission, Pilots return to Nellis for detailed debriefing sessions. These meetings are among the most important parts of the training process. Large projection screens display the recorded flight paths of every aircraft involved in the exercise. Radar signals, electronic warfare emissions, and simulated missile launches are replayed in precise detail. Pilots review each moment of the mission, discussing what worked effectively and what could be improved. Even experienced crews who have flown numerous missions often discover new insights during these debriefings. The complexity of modern air warfare means that even minor adjustments can significantly influence mission success. A slight change in altitude might reduce radar visibility. A small alteration in flight timing could allow an aircraft to pass through a gap in enemy radar coverage. Pilots and mission planners examine these possibilities carefully, refining their tactics with each training event. This continuous process of evaluation and improvement ensures that crews remain prepared for evolving threats. Ground crews at Nellis also play an essential role in maintaining operational readiness. Stealth aircraft like the B-2 require meticulous maintenance to preserve their radar-evading characteristics. Technicians inspect the aircraft's outer surfaces for any signs of wear or damage. Specialized coatings designed to absorb radar energy must remain perfectly smooth and intact. Even the smallest imperfection could increase the aircraft's radar signature. Maintenance teams work carefully under controlled conditions, applying repairs with precision and patience. In addition to aircraft maintenance, support personnel manage logistics, fueling operations, and communication systems that allow large training exercises to function smoothly. Tanker aircraft stationed nearby provide mid-air refueling capabilities, allowing participating jets to remain airborne for extended periods. Radar operators and communication specialists coordinate the movement of aircraft across the training range, ensuring that each unit receives the information it needs to complete its mission. It needs to complete its mission safely. Nellis also serves as a center for tactical innovation. Military strategists regularly analyze the results of training exercises conducted there, searching for new ways to improve combat effectiveness. Emerging technologies such as advanced sensors and electronic warfare systems are often tested during these exercises. Pilots experiment with new tactics designed to counter evolving threats. Lessons learned during these simulations often influence real-world operational planning. For many pilots, the experience of training at Nellis becomes one of the defining chapters of their careers. The base represents a place where skill, discipline, and teamwork are pushed to their limits. Every mission flown there carries the weight of potential future conflicts. Pilots know that the scenarios they practice in the Nevada desert could one day resemble real battlefields in distant parts of the world. The vast training range surrounding Nellis allows military planners to create realistic environments that would be impossible to replicate elsewhere. Mountain ranges, valleys, and open desert plains all become part of the simulated battlefield. Radar systems placed at strategic points across the landscape replicate the detection networks of potential adversaries. Aircraft approaching these zones must carefully plan their routes to avoid exposure, just as they would during an actual combat mission. Night operations add another layer of complexity to these exercises. Many stealth missions occur under the cover of darkness, when reduced visibility offers additional protection against visual detection. Pilots rely heavily on advanced navigation systems, sensors, and mission data to guide them through the night sky. Training flights conducted after sunset allow crews to experience the unique challenges of operating in darkness, while maintaining precise coordination with other aircraft. The constant rhythm of preparation Execution and analysis continues day after day at Nellis. Aircraft depart before sunrise and return long after sunset. Crews move between briefing rooms, maintenance hangars, and flight lines in a continuous cycle of readiness. Every mission flown across the Nevada desert contributes to a deeper understanding of modern air combat and the capabilities required to succeed within it. If you stillness in these words, subscribe to join these space of presence and share your deepest now in the comments below. Behind the immense technological sophistication of the Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit lies something far more fragile and powerful than advanced avionics or stealth coatings, the endurance of the human beings who fly it. Modern strategic bombing missions are not simply short flights across nearby regions. They are long, exhausting journeys that stretch across continents and oceans, often lasting longer than an entire day. Within the narrow cockpit of the aircraft, two pilots must remain focused, disciplined, and mentally sharp for hours that blur together into an unbroken stretch of responsibility. The concept of long-range bomber missions has existed since the early days of aviation, but the scale reached by modern operations is unlike anything earlier generations experienced. The aircraft may depart from a base thousands of miles away from its target, traveling across international airspace, while remaining ready to respond to rapidly changing mission requirements. During some operations, pilots remain in the air for more than 30 hours, managing navigation, communication, fuel systems, and mission objectives without the comfort of rest or relief. Inside the cockpit, the environment is quiet compared with traditional combat aircraft. There is no roar of a fighter jet accelerating through tight maneuvers. Instead, there is the steady hum of engines and the soft glow of digital displays illuminating the instruments. The cockpit is designed to support extremely long missions with limited space for movement and small areas where pilots can stretch or briefly rest while the other crew member remains fully alert. Even with these accommodations, the physical and psychological demands of such flights are enormous. Fatigue becomes one of the greatest challenges. Human concentration naturally fades over time, especially when individuals remain seated for extended periods while monitoring complex systems. To counter this, pilots rely on strict procedures developed through years of operational research. They rotate responsibilities carefully, manage their workload, and monitor each other for signs of exhaustion. Even small mistakes could have serious consequences when an aircraft carrying precision munitions operates thousands of miles from home. Training prepares pilots for these extreme conditions long before they ever participate in real missions. Exercises conducted at locations such as Nellis Air Force Base often include extended flight simulations and demanding mission schedules designed to test endurance. Pilots learn techniques for maintaining mental clarity during long operations, including controlled breathing, structured task management, and disciplined communication between crew members. The partnership between the two pilots inside the aircraft becomes one of the most important elements of mission success. Unlike fighter aircraft that rely on a single pilot, the B-2 crew operates as a tightly coordinated team. Each individual must trust the other completely. During a mission lasting more than a day, there will inevitably be moments when fatigue sets in or concentration wavers. At those moments, the crew relies on communication and mutual awareness to ensure that every task is performed accurately. Communication within the cockpit is constant but controlled. Pilots speak clearly and precisely, confirming navigation updates, fuel levels, and system checks. These exchanges may seem routine, yet they serve an essential purpose. Verbal confirmation reduces the risk of oversight and reinforces shared awareness of the aircraft's status. In an environment where small details can influence mission outcomes, Disciplined communication becomes a safeguard against human error. The psychological dimension of endurance also plays a significant role. Long-range bomber missions often involve extended periods of isolation. While fighter pilots may experience intense bursts of action during short engagements, bomber crews endure hours of quiet anticipation before reaching their target area. This prolonged tension can be mentally exhausting. Pilots must remain ready for sudden changes in mission parameters even during long stretches of uneventful flight. During these quiet hours, crews rely heavily on training and routine. They review navigation data, cross-check mission timelines, and monitor environmental conditions. The repetitive nature of these tasks helps maintain focus while reinforcing situational awareness. Every few minutes, instruments are scanned again. Every system is checked repeatedly to ensure that nothing has changed unexpectedly. Nutrition and hydration become surprisingly important factors during extended missions. Pilots carry carefully prepared food supplies designed to provide energy without causing discomfort during long flights. Dehydration can impair concentration, so crews must remember to drink regularly even when their attention is focused on mission tasks. These small physical considerations can have a meaningful impact on performance over many hours. Another aspect of endurance involves the emotional weight carried by the pilots themselves. Strategic bombers possess the capability to deliver powerful weapons with significant impact. The individuals responsible for operating these aircraft understand the gravity of their mission. They are trained to focus on objectives and procedures, yet they remain aware that their actions may influence events far beyond the cockpit. This awareness does not create hesitation, but rather reinforces discipline. Military training emphasizes responsibility and accountability, reminding pilots that their role is part of a larger system designed to protect national security and maintain stability. Every mission represents the culmination of planning conducted by commanders, intelligence analysts, and support personnel. Support crews on the ground also contribute to the endurance of bomber missions. Before an aircraft ever leaves the runway, dozens of technicians and specialists have spent hours preparing it. Maintenance teams inspect engines, control systems, and stealth coatings. Mission planners review intelligence reports and create detailed flight routes designed to minimize risk. Air traffic controllers and tanker crews coordinate refueling operations that allow the aircraft to remain airborne for extended periods. During the mission itself, communication with command centers provides pilots with updated information about weather conditions, airspace restrictions, and evolving strategic considerations. Even though the aircraft may be flying far from its base, it remains connected to a network of support personnel who monitor its progress and assist when necessary. Aerial refueling represents another demanding aspect of long-range bomber operations. Meeting a tanker aircraft in midair requires precise navigation and careful coordination. The B-2 must approach the tanker slowly and maintain steady alignment, while a refueling boom transfers fuel into the aircraft's tanks. Performing this maneuver, after many hours of flight, requires exceptional concentration, as even small deviations could disrupt the process. Pilots must remain calm and focused throughout these procedures, controlling the aircraft with delicate adjustments, while monitoring multiple instruments simultaneously. The physical sensation of maintaining such precise control after extended flight can be surprisingly exhausting. Yet it is an essential step that allows the mission to continue. The human body was not originally designed for such prolonged periods of controlled vigilance. Yet through training, discipline, and teamwork, bomber crews learn to adapt. They develop habits that help sustain alertness and resilience, even when fatigue threatens to interfere with performance. These habits become deeply ingrained through repetition and experience. As hours pass and the aircraft continues its journey across the sky, the cockpit becomes a small world of its own. Outside, the horizon may change from daylight to darkness and back again. Beneath the aircraft, entire continents pass silently by. Within the cockpit, two individuals remain focused on their instruments, their mission timeline, and the responsibilities entrusted to them. The endurance required for such missions represents a quiet form of courage. It does not appear dramatic from the outside. From the outside, there are no visible explosions or sudden maneuvers. Instead, it consists of patience, discipline, and the willingness to maintain perfect concentration long after fatigue begins to settle into the body and mind. If you stillness in these words, subscribe to join the space of presence and share your deepest now in the comments below. If you stillness in these words, subscribe to join the space of presence and share your deepest now in the comments below. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe.